Welcome to e-Niro Diaries on the 20th of May. There's a few things I want to cover on this video. Firstly, thanking everyone for their contributions to the previous video where I looked at the failures that were occurring on e-Niro motors, which also of course is the same motors in the Hyundai Kona Mark 1 and the Soul as well. Now, I've had so many helpful comments and I never had so many views on one of my videos in such a short period of time, which is great. There were lots of contributors and also I've had a lot of new subscribers come on as a result, I think, of that video, so welcome to you. Now, I always assume that if somebody makes a contribution, whether a comment on the video or as has happened in one case recently, somebody emailed me with lots of really good information. I always assume they want to keep that anonymous unless they tell me otherwise. But I really must thank so many people, not just from the UK, but especially from New Zealand, Spain and Australia, who've not only commented on things like the failure rates of these motors or experiencing that strange, what they call the Wheel of Fortune sound with their car, which resulted in a motor replacement, but also the deeper explanations of what's actually going on. And yeah, thank you very much for that. And one of the things that I've learned, I mean, I'm not going to be able to mention all the comments that I had and all the good stuff there. If you want to have a look, take time to go through the comments. But one of the things I learnt from it is that the e-Niro, Soul and Kona first generation all had what are called dry motors. And again, correct me if I've got this wrong, but the way I understood it from one of the contributors was that the dry motor, the motor itself has a water jacket around it, and the reduction gear is a sealed unit with oil inside. And of course, at one time they were telling us that was sealed for life of the car, whereas of course we know that, you know, if there's a problem, you're going to get a horrible noise from that reduction gear if something has failed, a bearing has gone or something like this, and you really should change the oil. I mean, this was made clear on other videos from other people over the years. You can find oil changes on the early Ioniqs, Hyundai Ioniqs, and I understand that it is in the maintenance schedule for the e-Niro to do 120,000 kilometers. The other way of cooling the motors is what they call a wet motor, which is where cooling is done by the oil, which also lubricates the reduction gear, and I guess it's one closed system, and that I guess will also need changing. Now, so far I haven't heard of any failures on the Niro EV and the second generation Kona, which use the wet motor type. So I guess either it's just not happening or it hasn't happened yet. But it seems that failure rates on the dry motor type, like I've got with the e-Niro, is about 1%. But obviously, you know, people only shout when something goes wrong. So, you know, there are a lot of comments you know, made on my video that obviously attracted attention, and some people, you know, one guy in Australia said I think he's on about his third motor, all replaced under warranty, and someone else said that the original motors were Mobis 710s, and one guy, I think he's in Spain, said that they changed his motor for a Mobis 712. So I guess there's been improvements and upgrades, but basically that version of dry motor was still quite prone sometimes to this. But I mean, look, you know, most people, it seems, are okay with it. Mine's got to 120,000 kilometers and I've certainly never heard that noise. Now, coming on to the service I had yesterday, I just handed it over to them and they took it away, and I'd arranged to have a test of the EV3 while I was there, while I was waiting, because I knew I would be a good few hours there. Anyway, I was longer than expected for reasons I will explain in a minute, driving this EV3. And when I got back to the dealership about an hour later, they, as soon as I came in, Monsieur Parker, we need to show you something. And of course, the car was up on the ramp. And what they showed me was quite shocking. Now, my car passed the control technique here 2 months ago, and if you look at the rear tyres, they're perfectly fine, the sidewalls from the outside, and the tread depth is still good. But once it was up on the lift, I could see that the inside of the tyres, especially on the left side, was worn right down to the fabric. I guess these are like fabric bands that go around the steel. I don't know much about tyres, but I guess there's a structure in there. Now, unfortunately, I took some photographs, but I didn't get a very good picture of that. But I can tell you, you could see this fabric was coming through, and it was starting to come through also on the rear right side as well. And he said, we can't go on like this, you've got to have new tyres. And I said, yep, I agree. And I was going to change the tyres anyway within the next sort of 6 weeks to 2 months, but he said we'll have to do a realignment. I think it's called parallelisme in French, because in fact I was wondering that the rear wheels were towing out a little bit. I didn't notice it in the driving, and it seemed smooth to me as anything. So of course I then knew I was going to be there quite a lot longer than was planned, so I had time to kill. I went off to do something else in Neil, and I came back and was presented with a bill for €906. So obviously there's the tyres in there. I knew they'd be about 300 for the pair, €330 I think, and the service was like 350. So I'd already had a Devi, what's it in English? An estimate for that. Well, it's more than an estimate. It's a quote, and they stick to it. And it cost me €153 to have the wheels realigned, something like that. So anyway, the whole bill was like 906. So I thought, okay. Then again, this car's been really reliable. It's done, say what, in miles, 75,000 miles. It's not really cost me anything other than tyres, and most of the services that I've had have been anything from €60 to 120. And the dealers have always done exactly what I've asked them to do, and they've also done a few things which were technical advices from Kia on things that needed to be fixed that weren't really causing me a lot of problem, but they say it needed to be done. So anyway, that was yesterday. And I'm happy to say the car, when I drove the car away, I thought, oh, that feels really nice. And maybe it had been not riding correctly or driving quite right for quite some time. Anyway, we're all good now. Now, Kia EV3 then. Yeah, very nice. The one they had as their demo car was, as they always do, this top spec GT line. And with the 19-inch wheels, it looks kind of beefy. It was a white one, and we drove it just out of Neil onto this route. The guy is, chatting away to me. I'm doing my best in French, and he was fine. But all of a sudden we ran into some traffic, which we weren't expecting because there's never normally any traffic there. And we were stuck for quite a long time, and we found out what it was because there was no traffic coming up the other way. I knew this road ended in a roundabout, and we would just whiz round and come back, you see. Anyway, there was no traffic coming the other way. I thought, oh, what's going on here? So after about 20 minutes, a couple of gendarmes on motorbikes appeared on the other side, and there was followed by a taxi, and then another taxi, and another taxi, and there were about 40 or 50 taxis all going up this. So this guy next to me, sat next to me, is phoning up trying to find out what's going on. And apparently it was a taxi driver's strike, and they were protesting about something or the other. I don't know what it was, and that was followed by a wide load. So it was just like a nightmare in an area that's normally, you know, fine. But it did mean that I got to drive the EV3 more. Now, it is very, very comfortable. The seats are absolutely brilliant. The view outside is better. I seem to be higher up somehow, higher than in the highest position in the e-Niro. The ride is wonderful, and of course he said that if you want the even more comfortable ride, go for the 17-inch wheels. Now I did look at a 17-inch wheel model when I got back to the dealership, and interestingly enough, the profile of the tyres is different to what it is on the e-Niro. E-Niro, they're 55mm high. On the EV3 they're 60mm high, so a bit more air between you and the road there. I didn't get to drive one of the 17-inch wheel ones, but this was certainly very composed and less jittery, can I say, than the I mean, the e-Niro doesn't ride badly, especially on these smooth French main roads here. It's fine, but this was kind of more mature, more sorted. I'm not a car reviewer. I mean, I'm just using some of the words they use, right? But that's what it seems like to me. The electronics was wonderful. Wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I just put my phone down. It recognised it, and I could, you know, bring up my music and, you know, listen to things. Very good sound system in that one. It's got a Harman Kardon whatever in it, lots of speakers. Yeah, very nice. And because it was a demo car, and normally that car is like 46,000 euros or something. I think they were trying to get rid of it for 41,000. Now, has the game moved on, in my opinion? Oh yes, the game has moved on. I mean, in the last year I've driven the Renault Scenic E-Tech, and I've now driven the EV3. These are both designed from the ground up electric cars. They're not adaptations of fossil fuel cars, and you can tell they're both cars rode really well and quiet, super quiet. I mean, the e-Niro is fairly quiet, but this really was very, very smooth, very quiet. Will I be changing it? Well, I could, but I just think, although the game's moved on, it's going to move on a lot quicker over the next few years, and we're very happy with it. And you know, there's other things we want to do with our money in the short term. So anyway, it was interesting. So anyway, one more thing. I did the double run to Bordeaux a few weeks ago, and when I went last, when was it, Wednesday, to pick Mrs. e-Niro up from Bordeaux, same distance there and back. In fact, if anything, I drove a bit harder going down, but it was about 5 degrees warmer, and that seemed to make a difference. The round trip efficiency was 14.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers as opposed to 14.3, and I arrived back home with 4% more battery than I did on the first trip. So what's that really worth? Well, it's about, I used 2.5 kilowatt hours less for another 4 or 5 degree raise in temperature. Anyway, there we go. Just want to thank again the brilliant comments I've had. I say, if people are interested in Kia e-Niro, Kona, Soul, motor failures, or the Wheel of Fortune noise that is likely to be expensive out of warranty, please do look at the video again, not to watch me, but to look at the comments, because there's lots of really good stuff there. Thank you very much for watching. Until the next time.